going to discuss about a glance at selected Philippine political caricature in Alfred Mc's Philippine Cartoons Political Caricature of the American Era in 1900s and 1941. And before that, let me introduce myself. I am Jane Silagan, BSA Agronomy Group 7, number 2 reporter. A political cartoons, the caricature are rather decent art form which veer away from the classical arts by integrating human feature and poking fun at subjects. Such, such art genre and technique have become a part of the print media as form of social and political commentary which usually targets phenomena of power and authority. Cartoon become an effective tool of publicizing opinions through heavy use of symbolism, which is different form of verbose, written, editorial, and opinion pieces. The unique way of the caricature present opinion and capture the audience imagination is a reason enough to historians to examine these political cartoons. Commemorates is a mass media and vital shape public opinion and which kind of opinion is worthy of a critical examination. Okay, let's proceed to the biodata of an author. Alfred Mc, an American professor of history and award-winning writer, who dedicated his professional career on the research of the Southeast Asian history, specifically that of the Philippines as well as the study of U.S. foreign policy. His interest in Filipino history allowed him to master the Hiligaynon dialect and understand the political situation, not just the region of the Lolo but whole country. With the help of Alfred Mc, the designer of the book, McCoy published Philippine Caricature. He is Alfred McCoy. Ano? In his book, Philippine Cartoons Political Caricature of the American Era in 1941, Alfred McCoy, together with Alfredo Rosas, his friend, compiled political cartoons published in newspaper diaries and periodicals in the time period. For this part, we are going to look at selected cartoons and explain the contents of each one. Philippine Cartoons is a compilation of 377 editorial cartoons and caricature made by various Philippine artists that tackles the situation during the American occupation in the Philippines 1941. This is the work of Alfred McCoy and his friend Alfredo Rosas is the book cover rather or book. This is a fair example shown in the public, entitled "A Public Post is Not Hereditary Crown." The first sample shown is published in the Independent May 20 in 1916. The cartoon shows a politician from Tondo named Dr. Santos passing his crown to his brother-in-law, Dr. Barcelona, a Filipino guy, as depicted wearing a salakul. This right here, salakul and Barang Tagalog, was trying to stop Santos, following the latter to stop giving Barcelona the crown because it's not his to begin with. This is the second cartoon was also published in Independent on June 16, 1917. This was drawn by Fernando Armesulo and was aimed as a commentary on the working of Manila police at that period of man wearing a salakul labeled to the Juan de la Cruz was robbing the officer, telling him to leave the small-time pickpockets and stave of turn to the great tapes instead. I can't read the title because it's blurred. The third is the entitled Death Cars. The third cartoon was a commentary on the suspected cases of column automobiles in the city street, the Philippine Free Press published this commentary when fatal accidents involving color room vehicles and taxi occurred too often already. The fourth cartoon depicts the title is Flaming Youth. The fourth cartoons depict a cinema. A blown up police officer was the screen, saying that couples are not allowed to neck and make love in the theater. The youngers look horrified while the older couple seem amused. The fifth cartoon was published by the Independent in November 27, 1915. Here was he see the caricature of Uncle Sam riding a chariot pulled by Filipinos wearing school uniforms. McCoy, in his caption to send to cartoon, said that this cartoon was based on an event in 1907 when William Howard Taft brought Manila by riding a chariot pulled by students to Liceo de Manila. This last cartoon was published by Lipang Calabao on August 24, 1907. In the picture, we can see Uncle Sam returning porridge to the politician and members of the Progressist Party, sometimes known as the Federalista Party, while the members of the Nationalista Party look on wait for their fund. This cartoon depicts the patronage of the United States being coveted by politicians from either of the party. The Association from Catholic Center Spanish-Filipino Society an Imperial American assimilated one is a complication but also depicted in the cartoons. Lastly, the cartoons also illustrated the condition of poor Filipinos in the Philippines, now governed by the United States. From the look of it, nothing has changed. In conclusion, each individual caricature recorded national attitudes toward the coming of the Americans as well as changing times. These caricatures clarity historical information and serve as eye-opener to the realities experienced by the people under the Americans' occupations. The book reflected an American sentiment in addition to the condemnation of the ruling class, which gave us a glimpse of the Philippine society in the past, visual its historical politics, and appreciate the representation of perceptions of the Philippines during that era. Thank you for the listening, and I hope you have learned this topic.